What if I told you that the seashells you left forgotten in a box, or the rusty metal lying in your backyard, could become the centerpiece of a fairy tale garden? In the next few minutes, you'll see how broken shells, old rims, and even moss can come alive as magical fountains that transform any garden into a sanctuary. Welcome to Backyard Fortune. This channel is dedicated to turning overlooked materials into extraordinary DIY garden ideas. In today's video, we're exploring Seashell Fairy Fountains, upcycle designs that feel straight out of a European fairy tale. The video is time-stamped, so feel free to jump to the idea that inspires you most. If you have questions, drop them in the comments. We'd love to hear your thoughts. And if this sparks your imagination, try recreating it with what you already have at home. Maybe to you, I'm just another face on a screen. But behind this content, there's a real story and a real family. This isn't just a video, it's a piece of our heart. Every like, every comment, every subscribe, it truly matters. When you hit that subscribe button, you're not just helping a channel grow. You're helping a dream stay alive. You're giving a small family hope, one click at a time. Thank you for being here. Thank you for seeing us. One, soda can herb towers. Imagine stepping into a garden where the most ordinary objects are given a second life, and suddenly, they become extraordinary. Here, towers rise not from stone or steel, but from humble soda cans. Some are painted in soft pastels, others left in their metallic shine, and each one cradles something green and alive. Basil stretches its glossy leaves toward the sun, parsley spills gently over the edges, and thyme perfumes the air with its subtle fragrance. Butterflies hover lazily, while bees hum in and out of blossoms, reminding us that even the smallest garden can become part of a larger, living symphony. There's something deeply calming about seeing rows of cans transformed into a vertical garden. They shimmer under the light, reflecting colors like a rainbow scattered across a rustic path. Rosemary and oregano grow steadily from their tiny compartments, while tufts of lettuce add a touch of freshness. Stand close and you'll catch the scent of herbs mixing with the sweet air of nearby apple trees and vineyards. It feels like a corner of a European countryside, where time slows and every detail seems to breathe a story. One tower spirals upward like a whimsical sculpture, crafted from brightly colored soda cans that seem almost playful in their arrangement. From the crevices spill mint, cilantro, and even clusters of cherry tomatoes glowing red under the golden afternoon sun. Around it, rows of cabbages and broccoli stand sturdy, framing the tower like an audience admiring the performance. It is proof that gardens do not always require vast fields. Sometimes, all it takes is imagination and the courage to reuse what others might throw away. If you've ever looked at an empty can and thought it was destined only for the bin, think again. With a little patience, some soil, and seeds, these towers can become your own vertical harvest. They save space, bring charm into even the smallest yard, and remind us that beauty often grows where we least expect it. And perhaps, as the sun dips low and the garden glows, you'll see your creation not just as a DIY project, but as a gentle promise that nothing is truly wasted, and even the simplest materials can blossom into something magical. 2. Bottle Blossom Garden Wall. When you stand before a garden wall built entirely from bottles, something magical happens. You forget that these were once discarded pieces of plastic. Painted in soft pastels, they become pockets of life, brimming with geraniums, petunias, and lavender that spill gently into the air. Butterflies dance from bloom to bloom, while grapevines curl lazily nearby, framing the wall like nature's own border. It's not just a decoration, it feels like a living painting that changes with the sunlight and the seasons. Look closer, and you'll see how simple the idea truly is. Bottles cut open and fixed neatly onto a wooden frame can hold soil just deep enough for fresh herbs and salad greens to thrive. Basil, mint, parsley, and even tender lettuces find their home here, alongside cheerful marigolds that bring in pollinators. It's a practical design for anyone with limited space, transforming even the smallest courtyard into a lush harvest. With the right sunlight and a little watering care, this wall can become a vertical pantry, providing beauty and fresh ingredients all at once. As evening falls, the vision changes. A wall of bottles comes alive with the glow of twilight, the plants catching the last golden rays. Here, strawberries cascade down in delicate clusters, their red fruit glowing against the green. Tiny birds nest in the upper corners, and the fragrance of jasmine drifts through the air. This is where function meets wonder, where an ordinary wall becomes both food source and fairy tale. The secret to making this work lies in balance. Choose plants that suit the depth of the bottles, keep them well watered since soil dries faster in small containers, and mix herbs with flowers to attract pollinators naturally. It's proof that gardening doesn't always demand a wide field. Sometimes, it just asks for imagination and the courage to see treasure in what others might call trash. And with each bottle repurposed, not only do you grow food and flowers, but you also grow a quieter kind of joy, one that hums gently in rhythm with bees and whispers with the evening breeze. Three, Mosaic Magic Path. There is something almost poetic about walking a path made from fragments of the past. Shards of broken plates, tiles, and glass, once destined for the bin, are given a new story here underfoot. Laid into the earth with care, they form a mosaic walkway that glistens with the morning dew. As roses and lavender rise on either side, bees hum quietly above the blossoms, and even the simplest step feels like part of a fairy tale. This is more than just a path. It is a reminder that beauty can be pieced together from what was once broken. Further along, the pathway stretches between orchards and trellises, the mosaic taking on hues of blue, green, and terracotta. Tiny patches of moss weave between the cracks, softening the edges and lending an authenticity that only time can perfect. Grapevines curl their way skyward, while apple trees hang heavy with fruit, casting gentle shade across the stones. Butterflies drift lazily in the warm afternoon, completing a picture that is both rustic and enchanted. Here, practicality meets poetry. You can move through your garden with dry, steady footing, and yet feel as though you are wandering through a living painting. And then there is the heart of the farm, where mosaic paths lead through rows of vegetables. Cabbages spread wide, cucumbers stretch long, and broccoli stands tall, while birds hop cheerfully across the patterned stones, pecking at the earth between the tiles. The shards sparkle in the sunlight, like scattered jewels guiding the way. The fragrance of thyme, mint, and other herbs planted nearby fills the air, grounding the scene in reality yet keeping its magic intact. If you wish to make such a path yourself, begin with what you already have: old plates, chipped mugs, broken tiles. Set them into sand, gravel, or cement, leaving just enough space for moss or ground cover to weave through in time. It's a design that asks little more than patience and imagination, but the reward is a walkway that feels both deeply personal and timeless. With each step, you are reminded that gardens are not just places to grow food or flowers, but sanctuaries where the discarded can become extraordinary, and every path can lead to wonder. 4. Tire harvest fence. In some gardens, color arrives not only through flowers but through the very structures that hold them. Here, old tires once abandoned to rust and dust are given a second life, transformed into bright vessels of growth. Painted in bold shades of blue, yellow, and green, they form a cheerful fence that borders a vegetable patch. From their circular frames spill lettuce leaves, young chili plants, and marigolds glowing in the morning light. Bees wander between the blossoms, butterflies pause on the tender greens, and the cobblestone path beside it feels alive with movement. What was once waste now breathes freshness into the air. Elsewhere, a quieter palette takes shape. Tires coated in earthy terracotta and moss green become a rustic wall, not of stone but of food and flowers. Within them, strawberries ripen in small clusters, cabbages spread wide, and herbs lean gently toward the sun. Above, apple and pear trees sway, their branches heavy with fruit, while birds find rest on the rims. The whole scene blurs the line between utility and poetry. Each tire is both fence and planter, both frame and promise. As the day softens into evening, whimsy takes over. Pastel tones of lilac, mint, and coral brighten a line of tires arranged like puzzle pieces, a playful structure where vines of cucumbers and tomatoes climb and spill, their fruits catching the golden light. Along the cobblestone path, children wander curiously, pausing to touch the cool rims or marvel at the tomatoes dangling just within reach. Butterflies drift in the air, drawn as much to the flowers as to the laughter. If you wish to try this at home, the process is as simple as it is rewarding. A few coats of paint bring life to tired rubber, while a scoop of soil turns each hollow into a planter. Choose crops that thrive in modest soil depth, leafy greens, strawberries, herbs, or climbing vegetables, and let the seasons do the rest. What begins as recycling becomes far more than that, a living fence, a canvas of color, a way of showing that beauty is never wasted, only waiting to be rediscovered. Five. Rustic crate planter corner. Imagine stepping into a quiet corner of a European-style garden, where old wooden crates and wicker baskets have been given new life. Instead of being forgotten in a dusty shed, they are stacked like rustic shelves, their rough wooden textures glowing in the late afternoon sun. Inside them, herbs spill over, basil with its glossy leaves, parsley with its feathery freshness, and mint releasing a fragrance that lingers in the breeze. Daisies and geraniums bloom cheerfully among the greenery, while butterflies flit lazily from flower to flower, making the whole scene feel alive yet peaceful. It's a reminder that the most humble materials, when treated with care, can become the stage for something beautiful. In another garden setting, crates painted in gentle pastel shades lean against an old stone wall. Lavender purple, soft mint green, and creamy white create a soothing palette, and from these simple frames burst out tomatoes ripening on their vines, fragrant rosemary, and crisp leafy greens. Bees hum softly in the warm air, while apple and pear trees spread their branches wide above, their fruit glowing in the light. The harmony between edible plants and flowers creates a nook that is both practical and enchanting, blending sustenance with charm. It's a design idea that feels not just clever, but deeply inviting, one that anyone could recreate with a bit of imagination and leftover wood. Then, in a more abundant scene, crates and baskets form a tiered planter corner, where vegetables and flowers grow side by side. Cabbages sit proudly with their wide green leaves, broccoli stretches tall and sturdy, and strawberries cascade gently from the edges. Between them, bursts of marigolds and lavender add splashes of color and fragrance, turning the corner into a living patchwork of food and flowers. The cobblestone beneath glows under golden light, while ivy climbs nearby walls, framing the corner like a page from a fairy tale. This rustic crate planter corner is more than decoration. It's a living, edible sculpture, one that shows how simple recycled wood can be transformed into a source of beauty and nourishment. Six, velvet vinyl garden art. There's something enchanting about light when it's caught and scattered in unexpected ways. Imagine walking into a garden where yesterday's forgotten DVDs and old metal rims have been transformed into luminous works of art. The discs, once hidden away in drawers, now dangle like a chandelier from a repurposed bicycle rim. As the breeze stirs, they spin slowly, each surface catching the sun and breaking it into shards of rainbow that dance across roses, lavender, and grapevines. The entire courtyard feels alive, not with noise, but with light and fragrance, a place where time slows down, and the ordinary becomes extraordinary. Against a rustic wooden fence, more rims hang like circular windows into another world. Each one has been carefully filled with DVD fragments, arranged like a stained glass mosaic. The colors shift and shimmer, emerald, sapphire, violet, as the afternoon sun drifts lower in the sky. Around the base, daisies, rosemary, and wild herbs sway gently, while apple trees stand behind like quiet guardians. These simple materials, once discarded, now carry the weight of beauty, showing that art doesn't need to come from expensive stores, it can grow out of creativity and care. At the center of a lush vegetable garden, a tower of bicycle rims rises, stacked one over the other, each decorated with discs that flash like jewels. Cucumbers climb nearby poles, strawberries peek out from leafy vines, and cabbages spread wide at the base of this shimmering sculpture. Birds rest casually on the rims, as if they too have claimed this artwork as part of their world, while butterflies circle lazily, drawn to both the flowers and the glimmering light. It feels like a fairy tale gallery, not built inside stone walls, but under the open sky, where every sparkle is alive and fleeting. Seven, bamboo vineyard pergola. Imagine stepping into a garden where the structure itself feels alive, where bamboo poles tied with rope are not just supports but companions to the grapevines that weave themselves across the beams. As sunlight filters through the green canopy above, clusters of grapes dangle like jewels, their weight a gentle reminder of nature's generosity. Wooden benches beneath invite you to pause, to rest on the cobblestone path surrounded by lavender, basil, and daisies, while the air is filled with the hum of bees and the soft sway of flowers in the breeze. In another part of the garden, the pergola stands tall over rows of cabbages, cucumbers, and tomatoes, casting dappled shade that feels both protective and nurturing. The bamboo, simple and strong, embraces the vines of beans and grapes, creating a living roof that changes with every season. Apple trees beyond sway softly, and with them comes the sweet, earthy fragrance of herbs and soil. It is in such a place that a gardener learns patience, watching how time and care transform a simple structure into a flourishing vineyard corner. As evening falls, the pergola takes on an almost magical glow. Lanterns hang from the beams, their light mingling with the last rays of sunset. Around the base, baskets of pears and strawberries sit waiting, the fruits of the day's labor. Birds and butterflies seem to understand this gentle rhythm, weaving themselves into the scene as if they too are part of the garden's design. This is the charm of building with bamboo. It connects you with the earth, it ages with grace, and it offers a canvas for plants to tell their own story. If you're dreaming of creating a similar retreat, remember that simplicity is your ally. Bamboo is inexpensive, renewable, and surprisingly strong. With a few tools, some sturdy rope, and patience, you can build a pergola that will not only frame your garden but transform it into a sanctuary. Plant grapes, climbing beans, or even jasmine to weave across the beams, and let the seasons do the rest. In time, you'll find yourself sitting beneath your own canopy, surrounded by the fragrance of herbs, the song of birds, and the soft glow of lantern light, a little vineyard paradise, crafted by your own hands. Eight. Umbrella Flower Dome. Beneath the gentle light of a European countryside, even the most ordinary objects can be reborn into something extraordinary. An umbrella, once a shield from rain, finds a second life as a dome of cascading flowers. Its frame, turned upside down, cradles a waterfall of petunias, geraniums, and morning glories that spill over the edges like living jewels. Around it, roses climb, grapevines sway, and rows of crisp lettuces and cabbages grow in harmony, while butterflies trace lazy patterns in the air. It feels like stepping into a secret garden where time slows, and every bloom tells its own story. Elsewhere, another forgotten umbrella is transformed into a hanging chandelier of nature. Painted in gentle pastels, lavender and mint, it carries the soft romance of spring skies. Daisies, lavender, and trailing ivy cascade downward, forming a living crown that glimmers above a cobblestone patio. Bees hum gently as they weave between flowers, and apple trees sway nearby, heavy with fruit. The whole scene whispers of warmth and abundance, reminding us that beauty often hides in what we choose to overlook. And then, in the glow of evening, a larger umbrella dome rises like a fairytale pavilion. Its metal ribs hold dozens of tiny pots, each bursting with strawberries, basil, and pansies in a chorus of color. Birds perch along its frame, fluttering between clusters of fruit and blossoms, while the scent of jasmine and rosemary drifts softly on the breeze. Standing there, you realize that this is not just a garden feature, it is a gathering place, a sanctuary of life and fragrance where friends can linger, and stories can be shared long after the sun has set. The charm of these umbrella domes lies not only in their whimsical beauty but also in their simplicity. With nothing more than a recycled frame, some soil, and a vision, anyone can create their own little wonder. It is proof that gardens are not just about growing food or flowers, they are about reimagining the familiar, and in doing so, finding joy in the everyday. Nine. Drum Barrel Garden Nook. Imagine walking into a small corner of a garden where ordinary steel drums, once forgotten, have been reborn as abundant planters. Their surfaces glow in earthy terracotta, moss green, and cream, blending beautifully with the cobblestone paths around them. Inside, the drums are alive with leafy cabbages, tender kale, and heads of broccoli, their freshness making the whole nook feel like a living pantry. At the edges, small pots of parsley and basil add bursts of fragrance, and the air is laced with that comforting scent of herbs warmed by morning sunlight. It's a rustic touch that proves even the most industrial materials can cradle the softness of life. Further along, the mood shifts to a more playful palette. Barrels painted in pastel sky blue, blush pink, and mint green line up in neat rows, their rims overflowing with lettuce, spinach, and basil. Cherry tomato vines dangle gracefully over the sides, their fruits glowing red against the pale hues of the barrels. Birds perch casually on the rims, as if they too have claimed this garden as their home, while butterflies hover above, drawn by the promise of nectar. In the background, apple and pear orchards stretch wide, catching the golden evening light and making the scene feel almost like a countryside painting brought to life. And then there's the most enchanting nook of all, a whimsical tower of drums stacked like giant pots, their sides decorated with hand-painted flowers. These patterns don't just add color, they bring soul, echoing traditional folk art in the middle of a European-style farmyard. Strawberries cascade down the sides, their tiny red jewels peeking through the greenery, while green onions and mint rise in cheerful abundance. Just behind them, sunflowers stretch tall, their golden heads glowing under soft twilight. Bees hum in steady rhythm, herbs release their fragrance into the evening air, and the nook feels less like a piece of DIY and more like a magical corner where the ordinary has blossomed into the extraordinary. Seashell Fairy Fountain. In the heart of a garden, there lies a fountain that feels as if it were borrowed from a fairy tale. Crafted from seashells, broken ceramic plates, and rusted metal chains, its beauty is found not in perfection, but in the way it transforms forgotten fragments into something alive. Water glides gently from one shell to the next, catching the sunlight in tiny sparkles. Around it, lavender sways in the breeze, daisies stretch their white faces to the sky, and basil leaves release their sweet fragrance when touched. Butterflies hover, pausing to drink from the glistening edges, as if they too are drawn into the secret magic of this hidden spring. It is a reminder that recycling can be more than practical. It can be enchanting, creating spaces where nature and imagination meet. Step closer, and you'll see another fountain, this time standing proudly in a European courtyard, its body shaped by seashells and repurposed bicycle rims. The tiers rise like the layers of an ancient sculpture, with water flowing in soft, endless rhythm into a stone basin below. Birds arrive here daily, dipping their beaks to drink, their wings catching the golden afternoon light. Around the fountain, apple and pear trees lean gently in the wind, and grapevines curl like old stories told through green leaves. Beneath their shade, cabbages, cucumbers, and marigolds flourish side by side, proof that food, flowers, and beauty can live in harmony. It is more than a fountain, it is a center of life, where every drop nourishes both the earth and the spirit. And as evening falls, the third fountain takes on its most magical form. Built from layers of seashells bound by old iron chains, it becomes a cascading waterfall glowing softly in the twilight. Moss embraces the stone basin at its base, a green cradle for strawberries, mint, and wildflowers that cluster around its edges. The air carries the fragrance of rosemary and jasmine, mingling with the sound of water falling in a rhythm both soothing and eternal. Birds rest upon its rim, butterflies dance above, and for a moment, the garden feels like a sanctuary, part human creation, part gift of nature. Here, time slows. Here, the world feels tender, as if reminding us that beauty can rise from what we once thought broken. And that's the magic of Seashell Fairy Fountains, proof that beauty can rise from what we once thought broken. If one of these ideas inspired you, tell us in the comments which design you'd love to try in your own backyard. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe. It helps keep our small family dream alive and brings more enchanting ideas straight to you. Until next time, keep creating, keep imagining, and keep finding magic in the simple things around you.